Madam Speaker, the President of the United States.
Multiple continents.
You guys know what this represents?
All people that have gone out there against the mainstream media and said, you're going to call us racist, you're going to call us potential Timothy McVeighs, you are.
Hey, and welcome to the Patriot Party News. I'm happy you're here. I'm happy everybody's getting along and hopefully getting some information that they want and have needed for a long time. I want everyone to know that over the coming months, that all the things, many, not all, but many of the things that we have learned over our own wakey time, whether it's been since yesterday or the last freaking 50 years, it doesn't matter, anywhere in between there, all that information or most of it, a lot of it is fixing to come out to our sleepy sleepies. I'm gonna call it sleepy sleepies instead of wakey wakey sleepy sleepies. That's crazy. All right, I got Old Keeper Bill with us here tonight. We'll bring that man in. What's up, brother? Well, I can't see you. Can you hear me? Well, maybe he's got some technical difficulties. When you're on the show with me, then you're probably going to have technical difficulties. It just is what it is. So what I'm saying is that all the things that we've learned over our time in this, our wakey time, is fixing to come out. I'm going to call it an imminent disclosure cycle is coming right now. They are going to be revealing the systemic, nasty, stinking, foreign-driven election manipulation that has been coming out all over the world in at least 72 countries, including ours. And I anticipate whistleblowers coming out of the freaking yin yang. We've got international collaboration going on right now with when it comes to elections with South Korea and Brazil. We've got Nicolas Maduro, who's fixing to, well, he's already sang like a canary. So big things. Well, let's see. Okay, Bill came back in. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Nice to have you. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate
You know, I appreciate
it
it when, you know, I was just talking and just playing. I said, yeah, somebody come on with me here in a little bit. And you stepped up. So I really always appreciate that. I just was talking about while you were having technical difficulties that things are coming out. And I'm excited about it. You know, I've been trying to hold my stuff in, but I kind of want to explain if anybody was kind of listening to me over the weekend. Well, since about last Thursday, you know, I want to kind of explain where I was getting, how I was getting my information and why I was saying what I was saying, because I came up with tectonic shifts, you know, and that's not a word I say, and it's not a word that I hear from the coalition much, you know. But Thursday, I started getting texts. They were a little different than what I normally get, and tectonic shifts is what me and Mandy got. And I think I said it Friday or whenever I said it, you know. But another one was, hey, stand by for Monday. Now, I was like, okay, well, nobody's ever, you know, no dates. We don't do dates, you know. And but when it's put to me like that, I've got to say something. I'm just a messenger, you know, whatever. You know, this is not me coming up with, oh, I've got this all figured out and freaking Monday is going to happen. You know, something's going to happen, you know. And when I say these things, please watch your expectations, because I'm not trying to hype anybody up. I'm trying to deliver a message that, hey, here something comes. Well, Friday in the coalition call, you were there, and I really liked what you had to say to Matt, or to the coalition, but what Matt and Juan both had to say concerning your sheriffs and people in your community, you know, regular citizens, legislators, things like that. But during that thing, we got to hear Tina, and that was great. Tina was back on the call, thank the Lord, and she talked about, you know, going in the hole and how hard things were, and the Lord kept her in it, and never cried and moaned, you know, anything like that, but just said, now that she's gotten out and has had her kind of reunion, you know, we had a reunion there in Virginia with the coalition, and that was great. And we were able to, you know, get her back together, get her oriented with things, because, you know, she was getting a lot of information. She was talking to Matt a lot, of course, Apollo and others. Well, at the end of her time to talk, after, you know, we had talked about her being the pawn, and now she is becoming the queen. That she's going to have a lot to do with what's going on because of what happened to her. You know, they did that to her. They did that to scare others and to get her to, quieten her up, Well, at the last minute or so, she was like, I take this responsibility serious because, she's met with Trump. We feel like she will, who knows, she might have more meetings with Trump. I don't know. But she was very excited. She was a little excited, about the next 2 weeks. Well, then I had Friday evening, Mark Cook on with the South Korea, the coalition from South Korea. And Mark didn't say much, and he was just chilling. And then at the end, he was like, I'm happy about the next 2 weeks. Well, if Mark ever gets excited, just something's happening, that's the way it is. So that kind of got me. Well, then I got a text, and mind you, I was getting texts from about 6 or 8 different people that I trust, that I constantly, I'm happy to, talk to. I'm like, oh man, here's a text, and I'm going instantly to talk to them and saying, hey, this is what I'm being told, But anyways, it was about early indications that the revolution in Iran was getting underway. And then of course, the following morning, Edward came on and was like, hey, all right. So, and lots of times when Edward says something, I can just count on it. We're in there. I can count on that vetted. He's one of the best I've seen with matters coming from Iran. Well, all over the freaking place. He's got it together. But when they said tectonic shifts, it was like, so we were talking about it in talk time, and of course we're doing gematria on it and all this stuff, and it was borrowed from genealogy. The term is widely used in business, politics, and technology to describe momentous shifts that permanently alter an environment. So it's a word that's used, and there's an analogy there. Well, then I had I'm on a bunch of texts with different people. So another text started coming in that says, I wonder if it has something to do with elections. And then another one came in. I'm being told by some folks in DC that Monday is going to change everything. And I'm like, okay, all right. Now I'm getting a little, okay, here we go. Well, then all of a sudden Sheila starts texting me. And she was talking about, I think it was a show with Juan on Gideon's Army, I think. And it was like voter rolls were supposed to be cleaned up. They were not. Counties said they didn't have the money. That's a lie. They had the money in the budget. Elections were supposed to be held by the Constitution as directed in EO 107, and they were not. No compliance. Wrong candidates from the primary. That means that the candidates that we have the ability to vote for are wrong. All right. So there has to be a pause. So we've been saying that, and we're pretty comfortable. Well, after that, I got a thing that said it would be awesome if, what awesome thing is happening on Monday? Could it be a EO, elections EO? And I was like, okay, here we go. But no answer. There was no answer to that one. Well, then it was one that said DC letting me know that we need to be multipliers on a supercharger starting Monday. Very poignant message to me this morning. Redouble our efforts. And we're going to be putting out the fire at the summit, at the Storm Summit, and with what will be happening this Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Now, you brought something up to me. I'd like for you. What was it you were talking about? The Senate. So, okay, the Storm Summit is the 10th through the 13th. What was it you were saying about right after that?
Well, the Senate goes on. Their last work day is August 7th, and they don't return until September 14th, which is the day after the summit is over with. The Storm Summit at that.
Right.
So that's very telling. And there's only about 20 more work days left until they go on their summer break. Right. So from now until then, there is a lot going on. And it's not that we have to wake anybody up anymore.
Yeah.
People are already disappointed. People are already uh, for something to change. And what we need to identify to people is the facts. There has been foreign involvement in our elections for many, many years, not just from what President Trump went through, but for many years due to the electronic machines, the voting machines, whether Dominion, Smartmatic, and we have coalitions that you have had on your show of these individuals that are now in the upper echelons of the military. Not the Department of Justice, not anything like that. It's actual military, JAG, that are taking care of this. This is a military operation that's going on. It'll come out in time, but people say, well, why does President Trump do a 4th of July event, the June 14th event? You know, why was that so happy, and why was that so glorious if we have all this negative? Why did he have a rally of all rallies, and why is he getting NASCAR and everybody involved? Can you still hear me okay?
Yeah.
Do I have a drag? Okay. Why is he doing all these events? The reason being is to get the American spirit up. We have to get the American spirit up to recognize the patriotism that is going to be required when the peripheral shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
We have to get support. In our local communities, there's enough patriots right now that know there's wrong done. A lot of family, friends, there's nothing anybody can do about it. Well, we have been doing something about it for many years behind the scenes, and we've been trying to bring them along with us. Unfortunately, many of them did not tag along, but soon it's going to be just, whoa, that's the truth. You know, once that happens, part of the tectonic shift, I believe, is going to be the people that are holding onto the fence are going to say, okay, I've had enough. I'm ready to rock and roll. And it does not mean we go kinetic, full, let's go. No. Even our local legislators, our own mayors, well, not the one in New York City, but there are still some wonderful people within your communities that have been pushed down and not able to be the
Yeah, you're rubber
patriots they
banding
always
now.
wanted to be.
You're rubber banding now. Why don't you go out and come
So
back
don't
in real
look at
quick?
every person.
Why don't you go out and come back in
Yep.
again? You're rubber banding. So he's got a lot of great points there. While he's coming back in, I want to read something. We know that Al-Zadie is here now or coming into town to see Trump, and this was something that was written about Al-Zadie to Washington. Iraq is ready to build a new partnership with the United States. I think he's come back in. Let me see if he's fine. All right. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? We have a lot of
yeah.
winds, so
You're fine right now. Go ahead.
sorry about that.
It's all good.
But my main thrust in that is don't just think the government is the enemy in respect to our local communities. We have to work together. And even though we may have proof of certain legislators or board members or attorneys or judges, if we have the proof, so be it. We then go further with it. But the main thrust is to come together and identify, wow, we have been bamboozled. We have been lied to, and you have to, and like I say, you don't have to do anything. But if you come to the realization the electronic machines are fraudulent, it doesn't mean everybody has purposely frauded their elections, but the ability is there to do so. Just the ability alone ends their right to be in the position they're in. There's a national emergency declaration that has to come. It has to come. President Trump will declare that. I don't know when, but it'll be soon. That being said, when that happens, there'll be a pause. Everybody will be instructed, and you'll have your neighborly, conspiracy theorist here within many of our states already. And not to mention, it'll just click. It'll click. Wow, this is why my property taxes are so high. This is why the school pushed this. This is why my health is like this. This is why COVID was really a bioweapon. It encompasses every bit of us, this negative actual cabal that has been around for thousands of years, and we're slowly choking them out. And there's just so much going on. We have a meeting with our sheriff tomorrow. It's like our 38th monthly meeting. He's got an open door policy. He listens to us. He's in his own little coalitions with other sheriffs as well. He is on target with what we know from our coalitions we pay attention to. And now things are getting to a level where you can't make it up anymore.
Yep.
We got July 4th, the UFC fight, all of that, the weather that came in, all of a sudden the weather moved and it went around. They're going to show weather manipulation. They're going to show all sorts of things. And it is to deprogram the population the best they can. You're going to hear from the CNNs a little different tune. You're going to hear on the CNNs, 80% of America is for the Save America Act. Then what in the right minds would John Thune and the others in the Senate be fighting about? Why don't they want the Save America Act? That's what the point of this is. It's like a no-brainer,
Almost like there's a lot of central casting up there, huh?
There is a lot of central casting, and there's a lot to say for like Mayor Mandumi out of New York City. You'll see. Forgive me, I gotta get a drink.
That's all good. Another thing, we've got some times coming up here right now. I think Robbie had sent me a thing, or maybe it was Mary, one of them, that Trump is coming out on Thursday to make a speech about things that we think are happening right now, right out in front of us concerning elections and things. Well, that's the same time that JFK Jr.'s flight, his plane crashed, if I'm not mistaken. Now, if I'm not mistaken, also today is the anniversary of when Trump was the assassination attempt. So there's a lot of little things going on that are like, wow, this is getting kind of good.
Yes. We got Iraq in Washington, D.C. right now. Prior to Iraq entering Washington, D.C., the last 20, 30 days, the new prime minister, which, forgive me, I don't remember his name.
Al-Zidi?
Al-Zidi?
Yeah, you can call him whatever you want.
Yeah. But they took care of a lot of the corruption from Iran within the Iraqi banks. A lot of their so-called senators have been purged, if you will. So when we watch the purge, it doesn't just mean the United States of America. It's worldly, because what we are dealing with here is world sovereignty. We're bringing back sovereignty for every country. And you'll hear that a lot now with Iraq. We're working on our sovereignty. We're working on our economic growth, oil. You'll hear all sorts of things. And it's like, why would Iraq, whose dinar is like, what, 1,300 to the US dollar?
Right.
What value is there, right? So you're going to see a revalue happening. And then on July 16th at noon, the US Mint have 3 Liberty coins that they are going to put on the market. You can go on usmint.gov.
Now, you might have even called them today. I don't know.
I did. I had a good 4-minute conversation with a lady, and I was just kind of being silly at first. I was like, my wife told me to give you a call. I think we might have a situation where somebody added another number and a 0 and a few zeros after. And the lady says, what do you mean? And I told her about the $750 for a ½ ounce of silver within this Liberty coin. And then you have another one, a whole ounce of gold in the Liberty coin for $19,600. And the lady said, yeah, the lady says to me, no, sir, that's not a mistake. That is what the mint is asking. And I was being silly with her. I was like, well, is that when the price of everything changed? Should I get my bag of popcorn out? And she giggled. So these people are under NDAs. I even told her, thank you for the journey that you've been on. I cannot imagine what you've gone through. And she said, thank you. Why would she say thank you to me?
Right.
If anything, she would be like, okay, sir, is there anything else I can help you with? But she said, thank you. You know,
Right.
So these people know. They know without telling us, you know. So that's going to come out July 16th at noon, Eastern Standard Time. So is that when JFK took off? I don't know. I don't know if that's when him and his wife took off and the plane crashed that night. I don't know. I want to look into that. But there's a reason for 12 noon on the 16th of July. But irregardless, we also have a report that's due today with the critical metals report that's supposed to be due today. That's a big deal. And then July 17th on Friday, the Julian calendar identifies July 17th as the 4th of July. By the Gregorian calendar, which is what we use right now, it is July 17th. In my mind, I'm thinking, is this now going to be World Independence Day? The 3 Liberty coins coming out. So here's your Liberty, the price of the metals. It's a lot. It could be a coincidence. I don't know. But we also know what is ahead. The quantum financial system's already rocking and rolling. The Clarity Act is supposed to be coming out on the 17th of July. That totally brings regulations for all of the blockchain technology and ledger systems. So we know that we have something fabulous coming. And I tell people, it's with what we've gone through in our lives, it's similar to going and tell a slave, listen, you need to realize you're a slave. What? I'm a slave? Yes. And then you take the neck thing off and you say, you're free. And then the slave looks at you and says, what do I do now? What do I do? This operation has had to take as long as it has had to take from Abraham Lincoln time frame to now, in order for a solution to be available to us, an actual solution, because I can tell the person they've been a slave their whole lives. I can try to free that individual in respect to, you are now free, and do you understand why you're free? But without a solution, it is difficult to, we really are free. There really are people behind the scenes that have died for me. There really are coalitions that have sacrificed their money, their time, their effort, many of their lives for this moment in time. There really are people around our world that have collected thousands of children that have been taken. There really are people that have been doing these wonderful acts of humanity for us. There really that really has happened and is happening still.
Yes.
So the time is not anymore to just thumb your nose to folks. The time to prepare and learn is now. And the Great Awakening is right here. And I love it.
I do too. It's great to watch this all come to fruition. You know, I cannot hide the fact that that a lot of things that I'm very comfortable with saying are just right here in front of me, and it's happening. You know, C Photo had a question just earlier. It says, does so Trump want to join Israel military with ours? Why? Is that the bad central casting T? So what we're doing, if everybody can tell, is a long time ago, Trump set up executive orders that back then that people were like, well, what's that going to do? What's that all about? But it made it for the future. So if Trump is setting up to where a military would be combined or anything like that, there would be control over this. In my opinion, he's preparing for being in charge, and there being some bad actors gone, because that's what's going on. You know, that's really what's happening. It's a shift. It is a freaking tectonic shift, and Trump is removing mid-level gatekeepers. Let's say gatekeepers who obstruct, who get in the way of any kind of election reform, anything like that. And then, like you said earlier, a la Al-Zadid, or however you say that, you know, he's coming over here to do some good things. He's coming over here to make some deals, you know. And I think this was published by the Washington Post, where it was like the Prime Minister, Ali Al-Shadid, presented a clear message to Washington. Iraq wants to move beyond crisis management and enter a new era defined by sovereignty, investment, economic integration, and measurable results. Al-Zadie described Iraq as being at a pivotal stage of national reform. He said his government's first priority is to build a state that all Iraqis can trust and take pride in, one where the government holds a legitimate monopoly over the use of force. The rule of law is strengthened and citizens receive essential services and economic opportunities. According to the Prime Minister, his government has made progress in less than 60 days toward disarming armed groups while opening a path for their lawful integration into state institutions. This is more than a security issue. A unified state authority is essential for attracting investment, strengthening banking confidence, protecting infrastructure, and reducing the political risks that have held Iraq's economy back. Al-Zadie also identified September 30th, the scheduled conclusion of the coalition forces mission, as the beginning of a new and more ambitious phase in U.S. Iraqi relations, not the end of cooperation. During his planned visit to Washington and meeting with President Donald Trump, Al-Zadi intends to shift the conversation towards practical economic opportunities. His agenda includes attracting major American companies into Iraq's energy, infrastructure, manufacturing, technology, education, and digital economy sectors. The Prime Minister emphasized that Iraq must also complete its own reforms. International confidence can not be built by announcements alone. It requires stability, transparent laws, regulatory clarity, functioning institutions, a competitive banking system, and an investment environment in which companies can move capital and conduct business securely. This directly supports Iraq's broader effort to integrate into the global economic and financial system, stronger correspondent banking relationships, improved compliance, digital payments, institutional reform, and reliable access to international finance are all part of the same transformation. Al-Zadi also positioned Iraq as a potential center of regional stability and economic connectivity. With vast oil reserves, abundant natural resources, a capable workforce, and a large domestic market, Iraq possesses the foundations to become a leading regional economic hub, but only if conflict is replaced by cooperation and development. His central message is powerful. Iraq seeks balanced relations, not submission to competing regional blocs. It wants to stand as a sovereign state, maintain constructive ties with its neighbors, strengthen its strategic relationship with the United States, and choose development over confrontation. For Iraq, this could mark a decisive transition from managing instability to creating opportunity, from financial isolation to global integration, and from an economy dominated by oil revenues to one increasingly supported by investments, technology, industry, and private sector growth. So to me, all that sounds extremely positive, and I believe those are his words. And we are fixing to experience an awakening like no one has ever seen, in my opinion. Not to say it's not going to be hard in some cases, some situations, but when things are hard and when things are bad, we knew that had to happen because we can't tell them, we got to show them.
And that is correct. And a lot of people will set back and say, okay, good. Let me know when it's over. Let me know when the oil prices are down. Let me know when I can go to the bank and exchange my money. Let me know. You'll know, because part of what's coming is going to be a stop of the whole world. It's the whole world stopping, especially 72 countries. And we are the 72nd country, or the first out of 72, whatever it was, in respect to this election fraud. And it's not just election fraud. It's the foreign involvement within our elections. Election fraud, people will say, oh, there's been election fraud since the 1700s. That's not the point. It's not the point between an American versus an American. It's an American versus an American with the influence of a foreign national. That is the same as a nuclear bomb. And what I mean by that is, if you can imagine the last many decades, putting people in positions throughout the last several decades. This is why the health department went the way it did. This is why the wealth is the way it is. This is why school bonds are so catastrophic. This is why, so many things are all encompassed. And it's going to be our job, because we have to, this is a we the people movement. We have to be the ones to step up and say, listen, we need new elections. new elections are going to be coming all the way around. And within that, you'll have to have hand count ballots. You cannot use electronic. That will come in time, this information, but that's what's getting ready to happen. So get ready.
Amen. And there's going to be a lot of whistleblowers, a lot of people in the background that are doing things. If you've watched the Fraud Fighter Summit, if you watched information that we put out on Bondgate, if you know what's kind of coming on Storm Summit, which would be possibly, not possibly, freaking information. 9/11 is coming out. Bring it. Benghazi is coming. All right. We're ready. Mitch Vexler is bringing more information. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he has some information maybe on, well, I texted with him today. I'm going to keep that to myself just for, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to get in trouble. I'll be having him on here in the near future, very near future, but I texted with him today and it's his story to tell. So let him tell what he's going to do. But the coalition is working in concert with Trump's administration to expose the corruption. The work's been done. The investigations have happened, and the material, the evidence has been given to the correct agencies. It has gone up the ladder. Anything else is extra and piling on to the top, which is a great thing because this is going to go on for a little bit. But I think a lot of people are like, okay, just let me see something. Let me see that big arrest. Let me see that whatever. I would urge you to look between the lines and understand that, when all the information that we've studied for so long is coming out and starts coming out in different places and it floods the airwaves, things are happening, that things are happening. It's going to happen as it happens. But I say hang in there, Just
a couple things. The executive order you mentioned earlier in respect to all of the county clerks coming up with the information that President Trump wanted, right? Not all the clerks got this information because a lot of the red states, or excuse me, not red states, a lot of the blue states like New York State, the attorney generals never handed it down.
Right.
It just stopped right there. So when if we get disappointed with our town, they may not even gotten the information, forgive me.
Well, the big thing is that, right now we're dealing with election fraud. We're looking at constitutional disorder. We've got spiritual warfare going on. We've got financial corruption happening right in front of our eyes. We've got national restoration that has to come into play. And we know that the U.S. election system is deeply compromised, that ordinary institutions, let's say ordinary institutional remedies, are not sufficient to do what needs to happen. A dramatic, out of control, freaking national intervention is imminent, and supporters should prepare spiritually and psychologically, and that's what we're doing for disruption. Supporters should, if they can, be in person, talking about this stuff. Get back into hanging out with friends. Maybe you get a chance to do whatever. Maybe you get a chance just to pray with somebody. Networking, teaching. It's all about action. So, election fraud is already corrupted both general and primary elections. There is not a possibility of there being a fair election. It's already tainted. The people that it looks like won the primaries are not the people's choice.
Correct. And there are times when the operators are behind the scenes orchestrating things similar to that Man Dummy character out of New York City.
I like it when you say that.
Oh, good Lord. we have to show what the bad people's plan actually was, which was to infiltrate our country with illegal immigrants, to allow them to vote, is what the point of this illegal immigration uh, sting is from ICE, in how the Democrats, which are not really the traditional Democrats anymore, not the John F. Kennedy Democrats. So it's the Democrat Socialist Party. It's to show proof of that behavior. And like I said, you can tell a slave that they're free, but until you show them the solution, and the solution is you. You are the solution, but you got to be boisterous. You have to talk to each, and boisterous is having a cup of coffee with your family member or like-minded patriots, and get with people like myself or others in your local community. And it's not a matter of being upset or just, we got to fight,
Yeah.
No, this is all authenticity. The truth will win this war. I tell people all the time, as long as you're telling the truth, there's nothing left. What value do these Democrat socialists have? There is no value, right? When Mandani gets in at 30% of New York City voting for him, and much more of the percentage had to do with illegal immigrants coming in, and it's not a matter of, man, this sucks. Well, we got 4 years of him. Yes, a lot of our problems now is due to the fact we haven't stood up enough throughout the many decades before. But now things are progressed to a level where it's not that you're going to be forced to step up. You're going to want to step up. You're going to feel compelled to step up. And God is really going to help guide you in this. Just don't allow your fear to overcome your thought processes. Be happy about it, actually. Be ecstatic about it. Be like, woohoo! We're ready to rock and roll. Sheriff, what can I do to help you?
Yep.
Mr. Legislator, Mrs. Mayor, whoever's in your local community, find out who's friend or foe. If they don't want anything to do with you, that's okay. Either they'll be arrested, they'll get voted out when that new time comes, or they'll kill themselves. One or the other. Who knows? Or they'll repatriotize themselves and say, I cannot believe this happened to our country. It's just a handful of choices that are going to be made. So it's not rocket science, right? We just have to be working together. We have to work together is all. So, man,
I'm with you. I'm right there with you. That's great. That's actually perfect. I love it how you've gotten in with your sheriffs. How you've gotten in with your legislator. Just somebody off the street. It reminds me of what Alex did. Alex said he was sitting on the couch. Of course, me and you, we followed each other around Telegram before PPN was ever existed. We were always in the same places, and so, but it reminds me, Alex, he was sitting on the couch, just hanging out. And he said, all right, it was either me or Chaz or somebody said, hey, we got to get involved. We got to get up and do something. And he said, okay. Then he said, he just went, and I'm going to tell you what, Alex is going to be coming up here in the very near future. He is doing some big things. It's actually, from where he was sitting on the couch, it's extraordinary. And it is absolutely extraordinary. He's found his calling, and he is doing good things behind the scenes, like maybe exactly like the people that were at the Fraud Fighters Summit. And I'm proud of him, love him to death. And I keep up with him and ask him to come on, all the time, but he might be kind of staying a little incognito. We'll see. Might not be time.
What's wonderful is, like, sometimes people say, why are you all worried about hand counting ballots right now? Why are you worried about voting at the primaries when you know that it doesn't matter? Because it's still my right to vote, irregardless if I know that we're going to have a national security declaration due to foreign involvement in our elections, and it may just be null and voided. Does not matter. It's still my right to vote. So I'm going to vote. Also, when I said you could tell people you're a slave all you want, but if you don't have a solution, then where are those slaves going to go to, right? So we want people already in our local communities to have the ground roots ready for, hey, we already have some folks that have been part of the hand count rodeo with Mark, and we would like to share our information with you, Mr. Legislator, whoever. And then it will build from there. And when that time comes, you won't have to try. People are going to say, oh, count me in. And within our county of a little over 100,000 people in the different towns, you're going to have the votes counted just like that. And people are going to say, that was so easy. Well, why haven't we just been doing this? Then that way we know that, there was no fraud. That's the point. We have become complacent, not on purpose, obviously, but due to that complacency, evil entered from foreign involvement in our elections. And I, as an American, want to vote in America without CCP involvement through Venezuela, Rome in Italy, with the Vatican utilizing a satellite called Lucifer.
Right.
Go figure. So God has allowed us the privilege to be able to give this information, because Ward and I can shut our laptops right now and we're good. I don't need to talk to anybody. I'm good to go. This is my duty. This is our duty to do this due to the fact this is our country, our children, grandchildren, right? And for all of the other patriots who have fought and died and are still living also, and all the coalition leaders and all of the whistleblowers who have sacrificed so much, I'm pretty good shape.
Right.
I'm pretty good shape.
Right.
I love you, brother, and I'm going to let you go for the night.
All right, brother. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
And I'll see you here in a few minutes. Okay, bye. So thanks for joining. We appreciate you. Come hang out with us at join.patriot.com. That's what it amounts to is getting in where you fit in is kind of what I've always thought. That's what you do on a job. That's what you do and I associate everything with working. And at my company, we do big jobs. So, you might have a few more people than you would just on a residential job. And you're always trying to hoping somebody will come over and be interested in what you're doing so you can teach them what you're doing, and then you can go on to something else. You're duplicating yourself, and hoping that young man that's, can get down a whole lot easier than you can is ready to get down there and start doing whatever, and that's kind of what has happened. I know my path. I can see the people in the background who are working. No one can come to me and say they have a better path at this point. I can see it with my own eyes, and I trust my eyes. It's not that I hear this or hear that. I get to watch it, and I get to be a part of it. When someone like Mitch Vexler, who we know what information he has coming out, and the first thing he says is, hey, if you whenever, if you're around Juan or if you talk to him, tell him to call me. He's helping me on this. And then I'll talk to someone else and they'll say, hey, let Matt know, because they need Matt to know the coalition. They're working their tail ends off. They are bringing the information from the whistleblowers and getting it to the people that it goes to. No one has to convince me of anything. I watch it right in front of my face. Plus, nobody else, there's a lot of people that complain about this going on and that going on. I don't hear any complaining. I hear people telling me how bad the uniparty is and how bad the Republicans are and how bad the freaking Democrats are and the rhinos. But just to talk about what's going on and to get some kind of reform, you've got to tell, well, they're doing this. So you ask somebody how to stop them from doing this. And usually that's to lawyers in the coalition. Well, I watch this on a daily basis. No one has to convince me anymore. I get to see it happen. I see and know who the whistleblowers are, and I watch who they talk to. Before information comes out from Trump or whatever, I've been talking on this show about what's going to happen, and then it comes out. Now, I'm not tooting my horn. It's just we are in the right place. So anyways, stay with your program. If something's going on that you don't like, we're not going to get everything we want instantly. Let it play out. And we were early. And Trump is setting things up, and he's been setting things up. But he's on our side, and we're fine. The London boys are in trouble. Hillary's in trouble. September and October is going to be huge. The rest of this week's going to be big. Huge, actually. We are in the storm. That sucker's probably rolling at about a Cat 3, maybe Cat 3.5. It's time to rock and roll. Come hang out with us. Join.patriotshoot.com. Appreciate you. Have a good evening. Thanks and bye.